All right, we're gonna get started. The time is 11:47. And Chief, you can take it from here.
Welcome back. Enjoy your lunch while we go through this. I'm here this go around for Fleet. I don't know if anybody knew that, but Fleet falls under the police department. Um, so as Sharita has her dynamic duo, we have a tremendous team of 3 that handles all the fleet for the whole entire city. So with Jason, James, and Eric, we couldn't ask for a better group of guys to handle 151 motor vehicles, and that does not include any of our lawnmowers, trailers, heavy equipment, weed eaters, or anything like that. Anything that does have a motor, they do handle, but only 151 of them are actual vehicles. So for a team of 3, they're doing pretty good. This year, as chief stepped into his city manager role and kind of challenged everybody to have that vision and mission and core values that we've had over at the police department citywide, I then tasked the Fleet guys to come up with what their mission was over at Fleet. So they came up with GEARS. It does wholeheartedly describe those guys and how they work every day with grit, excellence, accountability, reliability, and service. So driven by the growth, excellence, accountability, reliability, and service, they maintain and support the gears that keep the city moving. That couldn't be more of a true statement. Our accomplishments this past year was expanding the service capacity by adding additional bays and new office areas. So if anybody's familiar with where Fleet is at over off of Woody Drive near Fire Station 1, there were some bays that used to belong to AMR years ago with some office space. It had kind of become abandoned. AMR wasn't using it anymore. And we needed some areas where some fire apparatuses would fit into bays to be worked on, which did not happen at the current Fleet building. So due to some strategic movement of other departments and what had just kind of turned into a storage facility that we cleaned up, Fleet was able to acquire 2 additional bays over at Fire Station 1, along with some old office areas that had been abandoned, missing ceiling tiles, haven't been painted in years and so forth, and they actually put in the work themselves to make it their own. But with that, they did need a little bit of financial help, so we were able to provide them with funds to acquire more lifts, toolboxes for all of the bays. So when those mechanics all came to the city of Princeton, they all showed up with their own toolboxes. Their personal tools stalked Fleet for years. So one of our big accomplishments this last year is that the city actually worked with Snap-on to provide them the quality of tools and all the tools that they needed to do their jobs in their bay. And they then finally took their tools home. So we were excited to be able to provide that for them. The last thing I'm super excited about, Mr. Deffenbaugh actually touched on it with the fire department when you asked how much a particular apparatus is costing to maintain. Across the board as a city, we can't answer that. Each individual department may track their records. I know with us at the police department, we have the breakdown for every single one of our units, but not every department is handling it in that manner. We actually got with Fleet, we got with Maggie, and we went out and came up with a fleet maintenance software that we're in the process of implementing. We should have it literally any day now. The contract was signed this last week. Which will allow us to track all of our work orders that come in for Fleet. Anybody that drives a city vehicle and has a city phone will have to do a Fleet checkout. So they're going to be walking around, they're going to be turning in their mileages, they're going to be checking tires, lights, brakes, etc. From that, they're able to turn in a work order to Fleet, send that over. Fleet will then be able to change the status of it, anything that happens on it, the cost associated to it, if parts have to be ordered, if we have them in-house, and it notifies whoever turned in that ticket. So we're super excited about that. Then we're going to take it a step further. We're going to help Kelly out just a little bit more. So we haven't been able to ever track any assets or keep any inventory at Fleet because there's not been a way to track it on the finance side at the end of the year. This program will also do that for us. It will also allow every director to have their own login for them to be able to log in, track work orders, track expenses, and see at what point does this vehicle need to rotate out. Is it costing us more to keep it than it does to sell it? So we're super excited to be launching that. We hope to have it fully implemented by October 1, so everything for fiscal year 27 and forward will all fall into that system.
Question for you.
Yes.
Will this be able to track the GPS location of these vehicles to know where they're sitting, if they're idling, things like that, as far as to see if we're overspending on gas because, you know, vehicles are just running all day, or do we have any type of measurements there with that?
We did not do the GPS aspect. The city had done that a few years ago, and it caused a ton of issues with the computers in a bunch of the vehicles. So I know with fire and police, we have other GPS tracking capability in those vehicles through our MDCs. But as far as other city fleet vehicles, no, we did not actually take that task on this time around. But it does track gas. So it will work with the fuel system that we have over at Public Works. And we're able to take the Excel sheet that runs every monthly and dump it in and also do comparisons that way, but not GPS located. So with all the accomplishments that these three guys did this last year, they do still have some challenges and priorities that we're facing for FY27. So we went in and asked to have another lube tech, so not a full-fledged mechanic, just someone to help with the day-to-day oil changes, tire changes, your normal PM maintenance. And then we also asked for them to have an admin. Knowing where we were on budget, Kelly and myself met again later on, and we scratched the admin person. Currently, right now, all of the admin support to fleet is actually housed over at the police department. Myself and Glorimar, who's one of our records clerks, handles all of the billing, tracking, ordering, anything like that is needed for fleet. We handle all of the communications with Enterprise on all of the fleet vehicles that are leased for them through all the departments. So we handle all of their admin support over on the PD side currently. At some point though, especially being able to do inventory, asset management, and things of that nature with the software, there is going to be a time in the future that fleet is going to need an own admin assistant over there just to help with the processing of paperwork. Next is going to be to enhance our public safety driven skills, so training. Currently, 1 out of 3 of our mechanics is certified in fire mechanicals, meaning he can go over there, bring all the fire apparatuses, he checks all the hydraulics on the ladders, the lifts, the pumps, everything like that, and he is certified in that. This year we want to put some training hours and some funds into Eric, which is another one of the mechanics over there, and send him more to the law enforcement side, which is primarily electrical. So it allows him to be able to handle anything that goes on with the radios, the radars, the lighting, the equipment, the gun releases, anything like that that's on the law enforcement side. That way we've got both of our mechanics public safety trained and enhanced on their training, so we're not having to go back to the manufacturer or the upfitters as often. We can do a lot of it more here in-house. And then the last thing that we need as a priority for them is to expand our computers and scanners. They were very fortunate that this current year we bought the lifts, we bought the toolboxes, we bought the hands-on tools, but this next year we want to focus on the scanners so that when the fleet comes in with engine lights and all the lights on the cluster, that we can start to determine in-house what these are versus having to take them up to a dealership. Currently we have a scanner, but it's only for one make. We want to expand those scanners into Dodge, Ford, etc. Right now we have it just on the Chevrolets. For our challenges.
If I can interrupt you.
Sure.
And maybe this is something for Kelly also, but do we have any property asset numbers that are assigned to each piece of property, like each handheld radio, each vehicle, each self-contained breathing apparatus, every computer have an asset number on there that you can actually scan it so we can actually have a good idea of our inventory, that whenever we're checking these things and their length and, you know, how long they've been in service and things like that.
We currently don't have them assigned to a barcode. I can speak on behalf of fire and police along with fleet, only because that's the ones that I deal with every day, is we do keep a log of that based on serial numbers and things of that nature, but they don't have actual barcodes. The police department recently switched our in-house system. We were with a company called Power DMS. We've now moved over to PMAM, which we are currently looking at transitioning PMAM over to the city as a whole. because it will also help employee experience track the training and disciplinary process of each individual employee like we do over at the police department. And that system does have that. We implemented it roughly 30 days ago. We're still putting a lot of the data entry aspect into it, but once everything's built into it, it will go to the barcoding system for the PD and for fleet. But across the board, we are looking at PMAM to go citywide.
Tiffany, did we see any improvement in efficiency after the city added the toolboxes? And I know on here you have like the constraints and getting more tools. Do we know creating and stocking inventory of assets? One, increase efficiency, and two, what tools do we not now have that would help to improve the overall effectiveness? I know you talk about the scanners, but is there anything else?
The scanners are going to be the big ticket items for FY27. We had enough salary savings, but we had enough expense savings in FY26 that we were able to go ahead and get the purchase of the final toolbox that we needed for that new additional bay that's over at Fire Station 1. I've worked closely with Maggie and Kelly just in the last couple of weeks to see where the budget was to make sure we could go ahead and proceed with that in our current budget. And it's been ordered as of last week. The PO was issued. So that was the biggest ticket item as far as hand tools go. Next year, it's pretty much just a lot of the computers and buying the software that needs to go on the computer that we already have. You just have to buy additional keys for the different makes and models of vehicles.
And the staff they'll be trained in that?
Yes.
So, Ms. David Graves, so real quick as well, so we're hiring in mechanics, we're asking mechanics to come in to do a job and not providing them the tools to do it. We're asking them, or we were asking them to provide their own tools to do the job that we're trying to hire them in to do. And so also there comes down to that risk management part of it too as well, because they are bringing in their toolboxes, they're bringing in the wrenches, pliers, all that good stuff. So whenever they break, are we as a city, we asking the taxpayers to replace their personal tools at that point in time? Where we should be replacing those tools, we should be providing those tools for any worker within the city to be working with. And so while efficiencies, right, so depending upon if the tool's there or not, right, it's hard to regulate that aspect, but as far as risk management goes and as far as actually providing the tools there, that liability needs to be on us and not necessarily the mechanics that's out there.
So as far as efficiency goes, currently the way that we sit right now, because we don't have a way to track inventory assets over at Fleet for the end of year to be able to provide to finance and things like that, currently right now we have a charge expense account with O'Reilly's essentially. So if a department turns in a work order for a particular car, that work order then gets turned into O'Reilly's through the O'Reilly's system. Based on that work order, they know, okay, this car needs 5 quarts of oil, it needs wiper blades, it needs brake cleaner, it needs whatever the case may be, windshield wiper fluid, let's say. So that's just a normal PM visit. So once that goes in, then the guys get alerted that their order is ready to be picked up at O'Reilly's. So typically one of the guys will make a run every day in the morning to pick up what was turned in the day before, and then they have essentially what's just ordered for that day. Now we do have stock in a few things, but nothing to speak of. But that's one of the things that once we have this system and we're able to track that, we're going to get away from buying just the oil, just the windshield wiper fluid for each individual ticket and start buying it wholesale in bulk as well. Because we have the means for the space now to house all that, and we have the software to be able to track how we're buying it, but then we have to disperse it out to all the departments. We don't have a one large vehicle maintenance fund for the whole entire city. Each individual department has their own. So this software will allow us to know how to disseminate when we buy tires in bulk, what department those tires go to and how to charge them back out. So it will help with efficiency once we get the software in. As far as our challenges go, the biggest one is that inventory and assets, which we hope that software is going to fix a lot of that. And then funding from the general fund just on staffing. Like I said before, our admin support is handled through the police department for Fleet right now. Eventually that will have to change, but we are asking for that lube service mechanic this next go around. And then our final one is we will eventually need to look at location constraints. Currently, right now, when the ladder truck comes over from fire department and we have to do its PM services on it, which is extending the ladder all the way out, checking all of the hydraulics, lubing up all of the chains and oils that are on that, it actually sits on Woody or Second Street, and we shut those roads down between Fire Station 1 and the Fleet Building. So that fire engine is literally sitting in a public roadway while James is running its complete maintenance. Now, if we have an emergency throughout the day and James has to leave, we leave it coned off, blocked off, barricaded up. He will leave, go fix whatever he needs to, whether it's a tractor broke down in the middle of 380 because it was mowing, a true emergency, he will leave the apparatus from where he's at. It's leaving that public roadway blocked, and then he'll come back. So if he doesn't finish it at the end of business day, we have to pack it all up, park it back over at the fire station. He comes back the next morning, loads it all back out, shuts the roadway back down. So eventually, as we start to grow with different fire stations and larger fire apparatuses and things of that nature, we will need to look at possibly relocating fleet somewhere to where we have the space to leave the large apparatuses out when they need to be worked on.
Is that a concern that's like just specific to fire? You know, are there other large vehicles that are in other areas that?
We have the tractors and stuff over at Public Works that we do too, but we have bays and the doors at Fleet do get open large enough to house a lot of that. The biggest issues are the fire apparatuses, just because of length and then when the ladder gets completely extended.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Because they'll check the aerial, they make its full circle and everything like that. So we also have to have clearance, which is a concern out at Fire Station 2. We can't even run that maintenance out there with the water tower and everything. So just trying to find the clearance to be able to run the maintenance on those.
Yeah, okay. Well, so like, as I'm thinking through this, the parking lot at the stadium, like would that space not be, like if we were to like maybe have conversations with the ISD or whoever, you know, just to say like, hey, we need to utilize this space. Is it, you know, I don't know if the distance is too far or whatever the case would be, but I'm just trying to think of, because shutting down a street is not the most favorable, you know, approach.
Correct.
But what's the go-to? Is there anything else that we can do as a go-to before, until we get to a point to where we actually build out or have a facility that's specifically slated to be able to handle the requirements?
So one of the things that we've talked about more so before Chief was the city manager, just in the aspect of the police chief that's over Fleet along with the fire chief and Public Works, is Public Works does have the space over there behind their building. Mm-hmm. It's just not a concrete pad, it's a field. So we have toyed around with the idea of expanding some concrete maybe on the backside of Public Works to be able to do these things. Plus, also with Public Works, it's locked up at night. So if he doesn't finish it by the end of the day, it does secure it, and the gates are shut after hours.
Got you.
So
Yeah.
we are looking at different options.
But part of our other issue behind that is the accessibility to the tools that he's using to work on the fire truck though too as well. So we can move that fire truck anywhere. Let's just say we move it out of the school parking lot to work on it. Mm-hmm. But he's also gonna need access to all his tools to work on that. So you're packing up the whole shop to potentially work on the fire truck.
Got you. So essentially, perfect world scenario. We just need to have a location that's set up for this. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions for Fleet?
I've got one question or comment, and this may be for Chief Waters or for you or for someone, but because it considers an apparatus that the city has and has had for a long time, it's like a 66 Ford that's sitting on the parking lot of Station 1, covered up with a tarp, been there for a long time, needs to be refurbished, and we need to have some type of a city museum for fire and our police, and it's just sitting there, and it's wasting away. And I'd just like to know if there's any
Yes, sir.
things
Yes,
gonna
there
be done
is.
with that.
So, yes, there is a plan for that. We were working with the previous fire chief. Of course, when he's left, we've brought Gammons back into it as well. But Chief has actually been working on it for a while to determine where fire admin is originally going to be housed when it's all said and done. We know that they can't stay here forever. There's not enough space for them. So whether that's the next fire department or fire station that gets built and it's got room for admin, if admin goes to another building throughout the city, we want to be able to kind of take that and make fire admin like a historical area to where they can rehab that fire truck, have it parked outside, let it be a photo op. What kid doesn't want to get on a fire truck and take a picture?
I mean, is there any immediate plans to maybe move it from that location and and cover it up a little bit better, some type of vehicle cover instead of just a blue tarp.
So,
And maybe even move it over here to the, next to City Hall in the enclosed area over here.
yes, sir. So I'll take it. So Chief Gammons had presented to CDC 2 weeks ago on the restoration of the old police department, older City Hall / fire station. And so part of those design schemes, working alongside some of the city council and citizens and staff, is to retrofit that old building to make it look like an antique fire department. Do the wood faux bay doors on the, the west side where the bays used to be, Mr. Defenbaugh back in the day. And then that grassy area, right? We are currently in talks with the school right now. So, the school has a Kate Center that's over there with, that works on all the auto mechanics and all this stuff. So we're currently in talks with the school district on refurbishing that antique fire truck. So once we get that refurbished, kind of see that price range that's there, the talk is putting that antique fire truck out there just to the west side where that grassy area is, making that look a little bit nicer. But that's also part of the downtown revitalization project. So we got a couple different things going on. I know Ms. Glenda just presented up the RFQ for the library. So we're looking at that, trying to get that revamped. We're looking at that, the old police department, trying to get that revamped to make it look like antique firehouse, but also put fire admin over there, put the antique fire truck out there. And then also as well, we're talking about the cotton gin. And so really just trying to draw some 3 mainstream projects downtown to really draw attention downtown and really start that process there. So yes, sir, there is thoughts with that antique fire truck. Do plan on using it. And I feel like how whenever I started the introduction, how we need to kind of throw back to the history of Princeton, I feel like that's a big portion of it, along with that antique fire station look.
Lots of people may not know, but the old police station downtown used to house the volunteer fire department.
Yes, sir. Yep. And so, matter of fact, the cakewalk that we used to do for the volunteer fire department fundraiser is still painted on part of that sidewalk that's out there.
Okay. Anything else? Thank y'all.
All right, good afternoon, Mayor and City Council and my fellow directors and city personnel. So let's go ahead and start with the mission of the IT department. It's to provide secure, reliable, and innovation technology solutions that enable every city department to deliver exceptional public services. Our role is to ensure that the technology our employees rely on every day is dependable, secure, and supports the city's continued growth. During FY26, we made significant progress in some key areas. First, we advanced the city's technology infrastructure by coordinating with contractors and vendors to design and deploy network infrastructure supporting new facilities, while also laying the foundation for future broadband expansion and improved connectivity throughout the community. So originally, all the satellite buildings were in their own silos, right? Everybody had to have a separate login and password if they had to move around, especially fire. So the infrastructure we put in place gathered everybody together, so now we're one big continued or connected unit. So wherever they go, they log in, their profile and everything follows around. So that was a huge accomplishment. And second, we enhanced public safety by supplying them with better communication and better PPE to work every day, to go out in the field and do what they need to do securely so they can move, shoot, and communicate a whole lot better than before. And another accomplishment we made was going from FirstNet to T-Mobile and getting our first mobile device management solution in place that never existed before. So that allows us to support the mobile devices better And it also allows us to support the people out in the field who are doing their jobs who are working remotely. So, looking ahead to fiscal year 2027, we will continue modernizing the city's physical and cybersecurity posture by upgrading security systems, expanding surveillance cameras throughout the city, which is a big one. We need to make sure we expand them and modernize our surveillance cameras throughout the city. Some places have some that are outdated, and some places don't have any at all. So that is a huge, huge priority. Second, we will strengthen our infrastructure and cybersecurity posture by upgrading security systems. I just said that. Through strategic technology investments and addition of key IT positions needed to support the continuing growth of the city. And third, we will continue streamlining operations through automations, AI, system integration, and improved data management to help departments work more efficiently and deliver better service to our residents. So as the city continues to grow, there are some challenges we face in the future. Technology demands continue to increase while our IT staff remains small. Matt, our Secure Operating Center Administrator, Chris, our Networking Coordinator, and Tyler, our GIS Analyst. They dig in deep every single day to make sure that everybody has what they need to function out at their workspace, right? So to put things in perspective, last week, we had almost 4 million attempts to breach our network. 4 million. Luckily, the tools we have in place captures that, catches it, denies it, alerts us, and we have to go in there and make sure that anything they try to attempt to get through, we make sure that gets secure. A whole lot goes on behind the scenes. Chris makes sure that all our mobile devices are taken care of, and he is here front and center at just about every board meeting we have to make sure they go smoothly as well. And Tyler, he is just a rock star in GIS. My ultimate fear is that the workload will be too demanding on them at some point. So we definitely need the help in the IT department to make sure that we can make sure we do our due diligence so that everybody in the city who actually faces residents, whether it's utility building, development, or whomever, has the tools in place where they can do their jobs and they'll be happy about what they have. And that technology will then translate into better customer service for the residents. So overall, our goal is to ensure that the technology remains a strategic asset and enables every department to serve the residents of Princeton efficiently, securely, and reliably. Are there any questions?
Over in Winchester Crossing and going towards Harper Elementary, the cell reception for residents over there is awful. Do we have anything planned to address that matter? Especially because I know some residents there have to stay on the Wi-Fi and do Wi-Fi calling to be able to use their phones. That creates a concern for having an elementary school in an area with low reception, in addition to the residents struggling. Is that one area that we're looking at doing improvements on, and if so, what are they?
Well, I know there are cell towers being put up. I'll have to get the rest of those answers from Public Works, who's actually involved with that project. But I do know there are some more cell towers being built.
Yeah, I know that,
exactly
and I
where.
can speak a little bit on that. I've spoke with a few. Unfortunately, that is up to the carriers to provide that coverage to this area. We cannot force them unless we're going to invest $500 to $1 million to build the towers and then potentially try to bring them in here. But from what I understand, there's 5 locations that they have selected. It's just waiting for providers to sign up before that they build the actual towers. So that's up to AT&T, Verizon, and everything, unless there's some other update from there.
The one on the EDC land on the south off of 1912 should be almost complete at this point. That is under construction and waiting for the providers to add their equipment or sign up to add their equipment, excuse me. It's not a done deal, but it is under construction.
So hopefully soon we have that, because it's not just in Winchester. It's my house. It's everywhere I go in the city. Once I get past Monte Carlo, my service is gone. So it's a problem for the whole city.
Any other questions? Thank you all for your time. I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Rick, I just wanted to say thank you so very much for what you all do. 4 million attempts.
Correct.
If the city of Princeton is getting that much attempts to break into our system, I cannot even imagine what larger municipalities are dealing with. But I'm so grateful that you all are really staying on top of this, because it means a lot, and that safety is so important to our overall operations. So thank you so very much for what you and the team do. We really appreciate that, and I just want to acknowledge that publicly, because you do a lot behind the scenes, and I have seen the improvements over the years, from 2023 until now. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Glenda Puckett, Library Director of the small library with the, big heart. I was like, wait a minute. It's looking more like a triangle, but it's a heart, trust. So I wanted to, first of all, we'll go over the mission of the library. And it sounds very bland, but it's very important actually. The library enriches the Princeton community by providing equitable access to information, lifelong learning opportunities, and resources that inspire personal growth, literacy, and cultural understanding. And that doesn't just mean through digital and physical books, right? The library has classes and programs that are informational and beneficial to our residents. So we want to continue to be able to offer those things. In fiscal year 26, our accomplishments were that we won, again, the Library of Excellence Award. We received our accreditation from the Texas State Library Archiving Commission. We also received the Hancher Grant Award, which helped pay for all the robotics and STEM products that we use for the Flourish in STEM program this summer. And we will also continue to use those throughout the year, as we're going to do a couple extra classes throughout the coming year to be able to just fully utilize those materials that we were able to purchase. So for our 27 priorities, it is one of those is to expand access to library services and resources, increase our access to innovative programs, diverse collections, which is really important because, as you know, our community is growing and it's very diverse. We have seen people from all over, everywhere, different countries, just all different regions of the world, and we need to be able to provide those residents with materials that they are familiar with or interested in reading or accessing. Also, technology and digital resources to meet the evolving educational, informational, and recreational needs of a growing community. Also, those technology pieces will help us be able to better serve the community in a way that is less heavy on staff, but maybe more reliant on technology and improve some of those processes that we have. We also, another priority is to develop a modern, flexible libraries of the future. plan for the renovation and expansion of the library by creating welcoming, accessible, and adaptable spaces that support learning, collaboration, technology, and community engagement. And that's what we're working on now, as you all know, with the expansion, the hopes to expand this library. It will help us to be able to have a more flexible space for the community. And also, our last priority is to strengthen community partnerships and organizational sustainability by building strategic partnerships, pursuing diverse funding opportunities, and enhancing operational excellence to ensure the library remains a sustainable and essential community resource. And we are working on those. Currently, we work with the students at the ISD to do some of the volunteer work around the library. So as you know, we're short-staffed to one full-time employee besides myself, and then 2 part-time. And so now with so much traffic coming in, we do need those volunteers. And so we've been able to have students from National Honor Society come in and volunteer their time while earning their hours to help around the library, as well as one of our board members helps out a lot. And we are also in talks with one of the counselors at the